A lot of New York Jets fans frown on the idea of Jimmy Garoppolo as their potential starting quarterback in 2023. Let's talk about it. And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Wat2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. If you're new, thank you so much for coming along. Please like and subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back. A like is very much appreciated. Now, I want to talk today about Jimmy Garoppolo. The biggest question of the Jets offseason is who will be the starting quarterback? Well, Aaron Rodgers still feels a little bit like a pipe dream. Possible, but it's still kind of hard as Jets fans for us to wrap our minds around the idea of one of the absolute best of all time, and in my mind, the most talented quarterback of this generation playing football for the New York Jets. Derek Carr seems to be, he's been visiting with the Saints, been with them for a little bit. Raiders gave their permission for him to go and visit. Now, by no means does that mean that a trade is imminent. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens on February 15th if Carr does elect free agency. It's up to him since he does have a no-trade clause. But if Derek Carr doesn't work out, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't work out, where do the Jets go? And at this point, you have Jets fans absolutely scrambling with different ideas. You have one guy here who would want Ryan Tannehill. You have one guy who might want Jacoby Brissett, Baker Mayfield. There's still those Mike White fans out there who still want to roll with him. Well, to me, Jimmy Garoppolo is the clear number 3 choice. Now, I want to address some of the objections that people have had to Jimmy G, most notably the injuries. That's the biggest thing that people want to go to is the injury history. So what I'm going to do first is go through the different injuries he's had, look at what they were, how long he was out, and then we can decide, it's up to you, it's up to me how we feel about how big of an injury risk it really is and how it will impact him going forward. I'm also going to talk about some of Jimmy G's stats as a starter to get an idea of what we're really looking at if he were to come to the New York Jets. So, Jimmy Garoppolo turns 32 in November, same age as Derek Carr, 3 years younger than Ryan Tannehill. So looking at Jimmy Garoppolo's injury history, the first injury that I found happened on September 18th, 2016. The right shoulder AC joint was sprained. He missed about 2 or 3 weeks. He was only a backup quarterback at the time. He was back as an active player again just 3 weeks later. Now, September 23rd, 2018. At this point, he was the starting quarterback for the 49ers. Week 3, he tore his ACL, missed the rest of the season, obviously. That was probably the most devastating injury that he has had up to this point in his career. Now, September 3rd, 2018 was that injury. September 20th of 2020, so 2 years later, he gets a high ankle sprain in his right leg during a Week 2 win against the Jets of all teams. He missed 2 games with a high ankle sprain. Now, knowing what we know about high ankle sprains, he should have spent a little bit more time on the sideline. He came back too soon. He re-aggravated the injury during Week 8 against Seattle, missed the rest of the season. And we know with high ankle sprains, a lot of times they could take 4, 5, 6 weeks to really heal. Garoppolo didn't let it heal, and that basically derailed his 2020 season. But definitely something that you can recover from. Now we go to 2021. We have to go to October 3rd, and he strained his left calf in a game against Seattle, missed 1 game, came back. December 23rd, 2021. So towards the end of the season, Week 16 at Tennessee, Garoppolo tears the UCL in his right thumb, just like Aaron Rodgers did this past season. But Garoppolo still played the last 4 games of the 49ers season, including the playoffs, with a torn ligament in his thumb. So when I hear certain people say, and I'm talking about radio personalities, talking about Garoppolo doesn't care, he's not tough, he's a pretty boy. Well, he played 4 games with a torn ligament in his thumb. I'd say that shows a little bit of fortitude. So then later in that season, we go to January of 2022, had a shoulder sprain in the wild card win over the Cowboys, missed the rest of that game, but he did come back for the 49ers to beat Green Bay in Green Bay before they fell short in the NFC title game against the LA Rams. And then finally, we go to this season, December 4, 2022, after playing nearly the entire year. Garoppolo had to be carted off in the first quarter. San Francisco was playing Miami. Mike McGlinchey misses a block completely on Jalen Phillips. Phillips chases Garoppolo down, and I went back and watched the replay, and Phillips' right knee went right into the outside of Jimmy Garoppolo's left ankle. Okay, so this wasn't like it was a non-contact injury with Vinny Testaverde or something like that. It was because of poor offensive line play and Phillips just getting Garoppolo right in the wrong spot, and that ended his season. And then Brock Purdy came in, and we know what happened. The Niners went to the NFC Championship game. So what my point is with these injuries, yes, there have been season-ending injuries, most of them to his lower extremities. It hasn't really been serious shoulder injuries. It hasn't been neck. It hasn't been back. It hasn't really been much that would derail his ability to throw a football. So yes, he's had injuries. For some have kept him out a week, some that have kept him out for the whole season. But there aren't really injuries that would make me really, really concerned, like with Peyton Manning when he had the neck injuries at the end of his career and he was a shell of his former self. You don't have that with Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's the first thing that I wanted to say. Now, as far as the games played, if we go back to the last 4 years since he became the full-time starter for the Niners, so I'm going 2019 on, he has played in 16 games, 6 games, 15 games, and now 11 games. So in 2021, he led the league in yards per completion with 12.7 and net yards per attempt with 7.68. He led the NFL, better than Josh Allen, better than Patrick Mahomes, better than Justin Herbert, better than Joe Burrow, better than Aaron Rodgers, better than Tom Shady. 2022, in the 11 games he did play, here are his stats. Completed 207 out of 308 passes, completing over 67%, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4 times as many TDs as picks, a 103 quarterback rating. Very, very good stats. And if you look for his whole career, he's got a 67.6 completion percentage, 87 touchdowns, 42 interceptions, a 99.6 rating. He averages 238 yards per game, and his overall record is 40 wins to 17 losses. Now, Garoppolo has been surrounded by a lot of talent. At the very least, he's able to do the job when he has a good team around them, and he can help them win football games. And if you value playoff experience, some may not. He's played in 6 playoff games, and he's 4-2 in those 6 games. So there's one more part of Garoppolo's game that I want to focus on, and that is his efficiency with the football. I want to talk about the turnovers. Outside of injuries, one of the biggest criticisms that I've heard is that he's a turnover-prone quarterback. Well, let's look at that. So if we go to 2019, played 16 games, he had 10 fumbles. Didn't necessarily lose the fumbles, but he had 10 of them. 2020, 6 games, 2 fumbles. 2021, 15 games, 8 fumbles. 2022, 3 fumbles. So the fumble rate is definitely dropping. I mean, there were points he was averaging 1 fumble every other game. Now it's about 1 fumble every 3 to 4 games. So that's improving. His interception rate has been getting better. In the last 4 years, his interception rate has gone from 2.7 in 2019, increased to 3.6 in 2020, but then it went down to 2.7 in 2021. And this year, in 2022, his interception rate was cut in half, just 1.3. And I'll give you another one. His sack percentage, that's been sinking. 7.0 in 2019, 7.3% in 2020, 6.2 in 2021, down to 5.5% in 2022. So fumbles, interceptions, sacks, all of these stats point to the same thing. The older he's gotten, he's learned to play more efficient, intelligent football, knowing when to throw the ball away, when to take a chance, when not to take a chance, having good pocket presence, feeling the pressure close in around him. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is on the verge of playing his best football that he has ever played in his career. I know there's the injury risk. He's not the most mobile of foot. And yes, he has had the turnovers. There are fair criticisms to have of Garoppolo. But if Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr don't work out, I would take my chances with Jimmy Garoppolo, especially when you don't have to give anything up other than money. I would take my chances with Garoppolo. If you can build up that offensive line a little bit more, I think the Jets can have a more than competent offense in 2023, and you combine that with the defense, you have a team that not only can make the playoffs, but should make the playoffs. So those are my thoughts. I'm sure some of you watching are going to agree, some are going to disagree, and that's cool. Let me see a comment down there. I want to know what you think. Is Garoppolo a reasonable target for the Jets to have if Rodgers and Carr don't work out? And if they don't work out, who do you want? I still don't think Lamar Jackson is an option, folks. Until I hear he's available and on the market, I'm not believing it. That's just me. But thanks, everybody, so much for watching. I'll see you back here with more content once I'm back in the wicker chair.